Hi everyone, welcome to the last session of Ignite Talks and Keynote Talks. I hope you guys have had a really full and full of love and energy time today. I'm so excited to introduce to you guys the next Ignite Talk. It will be the session between Kathy Elgin and Britt Muser. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm having a blast. So I had the pleasure of interning at Riot News this past summer, and Riot is an organization where it's the first youth organization that combines every story to an action. So instead of being depressed by the news, Riot urges you as the consumer to do something about it and to just care, start making things happen. And so Britt Muser is the co-founder of Riot News. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. I'm trying to keep going. He's named one of Esquire Magazine's 2012 Americans of the Year for his work in Haiti. Britt is also a fabulous documentary filmmaker. Lynn and his partner David met at a Peace Corps party in West Africa back in the day and came up with Riot. And we also have Kathy Elgin, who is the founder of Creative Vision Foundation, which has supported creative activists who use media and the arts to ignite positive change. And Kathy spoke at the first inaugural Igniting Innovation, so she's an alumni, and we're so excited to welcome her back today. So please just sit back and enjoy and be excited and ignited. Yeah, I haven't had much sleep, but
is this on? Can you guys? Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, the question I want to cover all the other is it's all about arts and media for social impact. We had a fundraiser the other day, and we asked everybody. Our fundraiser is called Turn On LA. And the question we asked is, what turns you on?
Good question. Wow. First off, can you hear me? Is it working? Okay, great. Thank you, Claudine, for having me. Claudine was the best intern we've ever had at Riot. She was such a pleasure to have her for the day. Brought so much energy, as you can see, and enthusiasm to the office every day. And when she asked me to do this like 10 months ago, I immediately said it would be a huge honor. So it's great to be here. And then I'll get to Kathy, who is an absolute hero of mine. It's inspired a lot of the work that I've done through Creative Visions and through her late son, Dan Elvin, who is my absolute hero and set me on the path that I'm on today. And I asked her to do this as a conversation, and then I realized I was walking in that I'd be surprised with a lot of questions, so we'll start with that one. What turns me on? I suppose that's kind of the question about what gets me out of bed every morning to do Riot. And as we talked about before, Riot was this little idea that is now for millennials, where we've got 20 million articles a month getting read, and people taking action, and it's the most exciting thing I've ever done. It's also the most difficult thing I've ever done. So that question is really core about what kind of gets me out of bed. But for me, it's about how it's that puzzle of how do we use story to change the world, to inspire people, to help people, young people in particular. Our site is 72% millennials. Young people in particular, how do we inspire them that they can be a part of the global community, the global society? I was a Peace Corps volunteer in West Africa when I was 21 years old. I was there for 3 years. And when Kennedy founded the Peace Corps, he founded it on these three principles. The first one being, send all these young Americans out and they can go help, build a school or a clinic or something like that. help physically. And then the second one was share your story, teach people from all over the world a little bit about ourselves. And then the third one, which Kennedy felt was the most important, was to bring that story home, which he believed would sort of help create a more compassionate, a more peaceful United States of America, which by geography is so isolated and was especially back then. And so that sort of idea that people would have a better understanding of far off countries and far off places because they knew somebody who spent some time there, and maybe they would be less likely to just sort of blindly drop it on. So for me, what gets me out of bed is that there's this, I see an incredible opportunity to change media and to change news so fundamentally from being a one-way flow of information, from just being a couple people like Rupert Murdoch and others saying, here's what the world looks like, that we have this opportunity through our cell phones and social media to recreate it and recreate it with something
So that's what Tanzania is good. I'm going to find out what you're going to do on. And what I would like you to do is be prepared with questions, because every now and again, he's going to run out of steam. I'm going to get bored with myself. And I'm going to say questions, and you got to raise your hand and ask.
Kathy will never run out of steam.
All right, so a word that I hear a lot of, particularly last year, it's sort of an old word, sort of annoyingly old, it's done, resilience is the new word, but the word last year was disruption. And I am here thanks to Willa Chu and Kara Kubrich, who 5 years ago were disruptive. They decided to create a social innovation conference at Harvard, and they called up a couple of people they knew, and more people came, and there was a room full of amazing students. It's not a very big group. But they were disruptive. They sort of challenged the board. Sometimes disruption has a kind of negative connotation. Now, looking back in your life, something happened when you were 15. Now, if that hadn't happened, do you think you could do what you did? Or be disruptive?
Yeah, I was talking about it. My mom was a Fulbright scholar, so I moved to Zimbabwe and I spent a few years in Southern Africa, which sort of changed the course of my life. Before that, she was at Columbia, so I was living in the international student housing block when I was in my whole childhood on 121st and Broadway. And so I think that the most disruptive moment in the beginning was that all of my friends were from a different country, this housing place, and so the world didn't seem scary; it seemed so exciting from a very early point. But I think to that point about disruption, like this is, and kind of goes back to what gets me out of bed every morning, this moment that we're in, which is even the last 3 years with what's happened with social media in regards to causes, right, or nonprofits, has been the most incredibly disruptive moment for nonprofits. And I'll give some examples. Like if you look at Facebook, for instance, when I was working in Haiti, I worked with an organization, Artists for Peace and Justice, and we built a school there that has 3,000 students now. Those students, it's the biggest in Haiti now, this is pre-high school, those students come from Cité Soleil, which is the poorest slum in Haiti, which is the poorest area in the Western Hemisphere. And some of them are still living in tents since they lost their home in the earthquake, but 90% of them have Facebook on their phone now. And that's just happened in the last year. A lot of us could see that coming, but it just happened in the last year. And so in that moment, one of the things that happened was I brought one of our donors, sort of a billionaire philanthropist, to meet some of the kids at the school. She'd given a lot of money, and this always happens. And play soccer and form a lifelong bond, hopefully. But now they communicate daily on Facebook. This little kid from Cité Soleil and this billionaire philanthropist. But from the nonprofit perspective, it's incredibly scary that moment is happening, because the nonprofit has lost the ability to communicate, to control that message. Right? So that kid, and he's a troublemaker, and he might be nice as my brother, but he can now say, hey, we need to get food today. Or, I don't know if you know this, but the bathrooms are broken, or whatever it is like that. And before, the nonprofit would say, well, the World Food Program isn't working today. There's a coup in the country, or the janitor is sick, or whatever it is like that. But they can't control that message. So when you think about what social media has disrupted for nonprofits, it's extraordinary. Or my partner, if you would consider my partner, who I sort of built live at the beginning, is a young actor, Ian Somerhalder, who's some of you know, young actors. He has 35 million social media followers. And he has a great nonprofit, a small nonprofit called the Ian Somerhalder Foundation, which does environmental sort of work. But he reaches those 35 million people every single day, 10 times a day through his Twitter, and he says, hey, we're doing a beach cleanup, we're doing this, we're doing that. So if you ask those 35 million followers, what's the best nonprofit tackling environmental issues in America, they'll tell you the Ian Summerall Foundation, not the Nature Conservancy or the Sierra Club or World Wildlife Foundation. And so if you're those organizations, you're frightened because you've lost that ability to sort of show your size. On the phone, the Sierra Club and the Ian Summerall Foundation look the same. And likewise for us, it gets us out of bed, is that on the phone, Riot News and the New York Times looks the same. We just don't have the overhead of having to print the newspaper in a big building. So in those moments that maybe disruptive is overused, but it's an important word because we're living in the most disruptive time in terms of media.
Question. You know, I love it, and I love the name of it, and I know it's supposed to be two names. But what about, I was a journalist in Canada for 10 years. My son's a photojournalist with Reuters. And these are big, you know, huge overhead in New York Times, we don't have to say. But they are training journalists to go out and really be conscientious, investigative journalists. And here comes Riot, disrupting, connecting with all the millennials who otherwise will not be doing anything at all. But how the journalism is this day in a world where the riots are coming out, these people are tuning out and not reading? And what's the future of journalism?
Sure, I think that's such an important question. You know, we look for a couple different places to get our stories. You know, we have journalists who are on the ground and working on partners and just returned from Liberia in quarantine now, which is lacking for that. We have our journalists who are working, and we're going to continue as we grow to have the best journalists that we possibly can find to tell the most important stories. But we're also now looking at citizen journalists, right? Who are the next level of journalists? Who are the people who are able to tell their own stories? So much of Riot was born on this this idea of that when people have been stripped from a voice, they don't have a lot of places to be able to express it. Martin Luther King said, and this is where Riot comes from, that a riot is the language of the unheard. When people don't have a voice, the only thing they can do is start a riot. Riot is also a Hindi word that means peasant, sort of a lowest caste who have never had that voice before. So we are trying to make sure that we can not only foster the next generation of journalists, which is really important to us, because we don't want that to go those people out of work. We also want to change that idea of who's telling that story, so that it becomes found by people in that community.
Your voice. Okay, question. Quick. No questions? Yes, question. Yes.
Can you explain for the people that don't know you and inspire?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm somebody who's been lucky enough to spend most of my life living overseas. So, in addition to sort of, I grew up in Los Angeles and New York City, and from 16 moved to Zimbabwe. I spent most of my life in Africa, whether it was in Zimbabwe or in West Africa during the Peace Corps. After that, I worked with a lot of celebrities, and then worked with philanthropy, whether it was with Ben Stiller and the Riot. And then when the Haiti earthquake happened, I moved to Haiti and lived there for 3 years. Also working with an organization that was using a lot of celebrities and influencers to help them use their platforms to sort of talk about good. So it was out of there that came up with this idea of Riot, which would, how do we really kind of take this story and tell it, make a new news company, new media company that's really based on something kind of different. But it's
sort of a rock star as well.
No, not a rock star.
And that's
I just have messy hair. No.
Rock stars. Because the whole deal with social innovation and NGOs and charities and all that stuff is that it's really crushing granola that's annoyingly dressed. You know?
What is Riot?
Riot is a news website, riot.org, ryot.org, and it's a news website where we get all the news stories of the day and be able to take action on this one. It's a media company. We make about 10 documentaries.
You want everybody to want to be a rock star and be working with it.
I'll ask you questions around taking policy media.
Sure.
And, obviously, to the point around disruption, the New York Times and all these traditional papers aren't selling a ton of newspapers anymore. So how do you think about being on online platforms and sustainability spending?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think 3 years ago when we launched, we thought we would just get a lot of people on the site and then sign our ads for casinos and other things and be able to make the money. But that has completely changed. We have a creative agency and a production company that is where our revenue comes from. So we work with a lot of nonprofits, about 400 nonprofits, to help them with their story, to create content for them. And we also work with companies who want to talk or get more involved in sort of the
So most of the news agencies are focused on PR and maybe like the legal thing that was made up. So as citizens within this system that we are in, we get worried about traveling and we hear so much negative stuff. For example, I visited China recently. I saw so much positive things that was never played out on TV. So what are we trying to do to change that so that we are better educated and don't about our global, viewpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's why I started writing, and certainly why Campus and everything we've done, because as people who have been lucky enough to live all over the world and travel, you see a very different perspective than the one that's out there. Media is, we are in a very dangerous place with media as it is right now, which is just built on fear. And that fear brings apathy, and that apathy leads to a media landscape that's just sort of 15 pizza toppings that you have to have, or happy, or whatever else is, where we're lacking that substance. So what we're trying to do, at least in our part, is to give a broader picture. When we have opportunities to have people cover, we're really to do a broader picture of not only what's happening, but how people can have
today, I went on to that, and it's really cool. Go check it out. But the main story is Cardinal. It was talked about by the guy because he was defending things and it's like, oh, what do I do? Every single thing you read a story, there's action. It's really cool. You saw people sitting there talking and they go, oh, there's something that we can do. So okay, I can advocate for free expression wherever you are. What do you know from your statistics or your metrics? Is it working? I mean, I know the 72% are doing something.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, we know the ones that work really well is when there's a disaster and people automatically are getting inundated with stories and they want to do something about it. So that's when we see, whether it's like 25, 30% of those people who are really taking action. Personal stories always drive a lot of action as well too. So when there's something that, the animal stories still are great on our sites. When people see something, an animal in distress, and they can do something to change it. Those all, we have the numbers and show that those things work. But for us, it's like what the success for me is starting to really change that whole way that people think about how they engage in the greater world at large. So it's not that, but you read the Cardinal story and somebody takes action on that, but that you can dig deeper. So that there's context to the news and it's not just these random bits of information. I see they might have to go. Yeah, well, you're asking two people who would say just drop out of school to go travel right now, but don't do that. No, finish school. I encourage everybody to join the Peace Corps because I'm to change my life so incredibly fully, and it's something that was the greatest experience of my entire life because when people leave the Peace Corps, they're on a track to do whatever kind of work they want to do. You're in a really good spot in that way. It also, the great trick for anybody who's thinking about joining the Peace Corps is that it puts on hold for 2 years having to answer, what are you going to do now? And so it's like a really great trick because you're in the Peace Corps and you're a hero and you're doing whatever, but people ask, what are you doing? You go, like, I'm in the Peace Corps, leave me alone. It'll give you 2 years.
That's why I asked that. My son there, who was 17, 18 years old, he grew up in international school, Canada, such an international crowd here. But we were going through the disruption that period, and he was ready to apply college to do Harvard. And he said, Mom, I'm not go to college. I don't have to go to college this year. I said, you're going to take a year off? He said, no, Mom, I'm going to take a year off. And it's much more difficult to learn hands-on, and it comes to nobody's ethnicity, you probably look to But to go and learn macroeconomics by having a super Morocco, or he took a year on the concept. It addressed. I share it with you. It's about taking a day on, or a week on, a month on, or a year on, or a life on. It's really engaging the world and engaging things like at the moment, why is it, as far as a news source where you can actually, when you're turning on readers to their power, you really get that to work.
Do we have time, Max? Do we have time for one more? Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great question. We link out as much as we possibly can. Right? There's often an argument, an ethical sort of journalist argument about giving people an action with the news, but it crosses some sort of journalistic line and ethics about people, which we don't care about that. That's how we all day. But what I don't want it to be doing is having all of the actions live internally on Riot, and I built it intentionally so that if you donate money, we don't take it out of it, or if you sign a signature, we don't keep that signature to sell to the business model. So we're linking out as often as we can. If there's something that's pressing right away, then we can take the other foundation that we can work with ourselves. But we, my partner and I, and the people that are in our organization, work with, all of the best nonprofits. We spend a lot of time meeting these people from nonprofits, learning about nonprofits, and really trying to make sure that we're helping people to understand that this is the right kind of organization. We only highly that. Yes, by the way, please, you guys can all come to Venice and buy you lunch every day. Right, buddy? It was fun? Oh, she's holding up a sign to say stop now. I see how it's happening. I never said that to you when you were working at Intro. Thank you guys. We'll be outside if you have questions after.
Hi everyone, my name is Max. I'm sad the summit is ending, but I'm incredibly excited to introduce our next speaker. He's a true American hero, a business hero, and a hero in environmental field. It's Rick Ridgway. He's the Patagonia's Vice President of Environmental Affairs, where he implements the company's mission statement: build the best products, cause no unnecessary harm, and use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. On his watch, the company implemented Vanguard environmental and sustainability initiatives, including Freedom to Roam, Common Threads, and Footprint Chronicles. He also has co-founded the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, SAC. Rick is recognized as one of the world's most foremost mountaineers and adventurers, making the first American ascent of K2, perhaps the hardest mountain in the world to climb. He has produced and directed several documentary films, written dozens of magazine articles, and 6 books. National Geographic recently honored him with its Lifetime Achievement in Adventure Award. Rick lives with his wife in Ojai, California, and they have 3 grandchildren. Please, Rick Ridgway. Thank you so much. Great. Well, pleasure to be here to speak to you guys this afternoon and to share with you the company I work for, Patagonia's commitment to environmental protection and sustainability. And as I imagine most of you guys know, we make clothing and apparel for outdoor sports. It's also important to know that we're a private company and we're still owned by Yvonne Chouinard, who is that guy with the hammer. And we started out making equipment for climbers, carabiners and pitons and ice axes, and then branched into clothing for climbers. And Yvonne and I have been climbing partners for over 40 years. We got a lot of adventures under our belts, like this one in Alaska after a successful climb with Denali, There's a lot of stories about this shot to shot. I guess beginning with the fact that, yes, it was more than just alcohol, it was also. It's actually a cool story. It's not much of other stuff. This is like 1981, way back in the day. We get this letter in the mail, a month later. Dear Mr. Shinar, Mr. Ridgway, I just got my Patagonia catalog. I noticed that there's a picture of you guys on the inside cover. Enjoy one of my bottles of wine, but that's not the best stuff we make, so come up and we'll show you what we can do. Well, we've climbed in a lot of places around the world, including Patagonia, a place, not a company, in the southern cone of South America, where Yvonne and his partner, Doug Tompkins, made back then what was only the third ascent of Fitzroy. That's the big peak you see there. And for Yvonne and Doug both, it was the most influential trip of their lives, and really laid the groundwork for the two companies that they started. So here's a film clip from a clip from a movie I made on this trip, and the one that inspired it, called 180 South. Have any of you guys seen that? Yeah, a few. It's still on Netflix, but here's a clip from it.
Picked up a 16mm Bolex camera to record the trip. Loaded the car up with surfboards and climbing gear and took off for a 10,000-mile trip down south. I think from the time I decided to go, it was like 2 weeks. I was on the van. Took off from Ventura. 1968, you gotta remember, the Denver highway was pretty wild. Just drove around from Mexico City all the way through. It was like being in Montana or Wyoming 100 years ago. Here we're in an area that's the size of the whole American West. With no people. For those of us that grew up going out into the wilds of the world, which is where nature was basically untouched, we got into our souls a sense of beauty. That trip had a big influence on both Doug and I. It kind of set the course for what we're going to do later in life. For me, it was the best trip of my life.
So once they were back, Yvonne expanded the business like I told you a minute ago. We started selling a few items of clothing for climbers, and then in '73 he decided to spin off that part of the business. And that was only 5 years after that trip to Fitzroy to Patagonia. So that's where the inspiration came from, to call that clothing business Patagonia, and where the logo came from. The highest point on the skyline is Fitzroy. So the important thing here is that it was sports like climbing and skiing and surfing that was the foundation for the company. But the experiences that came from those sports are the really direct inspiration for our company's commitment to sustainability and environmental protection. You know, it's things like when Yvonne and I went back to the Fitzroy area about 20 years later, the developers had put in all these road signs for what then a couple of years later became an entire city called Charlottetown. You know, we're seeing firsthand the effects of clear cutting of the beach forests down in the southern cone of South America, but actually all over the world. So it was seeing things like this firsthand. Those were the experiences that shaped the values that directly influence the way we organize the business. And it was, and it is what's behind the company's mission. Max explained in the introduction. And this is a mission that we use. I mean, like every day, there's somebody in the company that has to make a decision. We go back to this thing to help guide them.
So you can see what it says. It really starts with making the very best product we can, but we do it with no unnecessary harm. I'll get to that in a minute. But then we use that success to, as it says, implement solutions to the environmental crisis. And the word crisis is up there for a very important reason. So I'm going to take this mission statement to frame the rest of my presentation, starting with that commitment to make the best products we can. And that commitment we have to make because we know that our customers rely on us to provide them with the best gear we can, because whether they're surfing big waves in Hawaii or if you're climbing the hardest peaks in the world, the jacket that you've got on can really make the difference in whether you survive or not. But we also know that it's not just the climbers and the surfers, but more and more of our customers, especially young people like yourselves, expect us to make that gear in the most responsible way we can. So that's the second part of that mission, to cause no unnecessary harm. Now, notice that it doesn't say cause the least harm, which you might imagine is the most obvious way of saying that, but we chose these words very carefully because we think that the flip side of causing no unnecessary harm is that you're causing harm. And that's because we believe that all businesses that make consumer goods, and most businesses that are in services, are doing harm. And I'll get into that in a minute, but that is fundamentally our definition of sustainability. It's the good and the bad. That is core to our culture and our definition of transparency as well. If you go to those footprint chronicles that were known at the beginning, you'll see that we explain what we're doing good, but we also explain carefully what we're doing bad. With organic cotton, we've committed since the 90s to making all of our cotton clothes only from 100% organically grown cotton, no use of insecticides or pesticides. But we also know that the problem of cotton equal to insecticides and pesticides, the amount of water it uses. So we do our very best to source the cotton from places that water the cotton with rainfall, that aren't drawing down aquifers unsustainably. So that's cotton. And let's talk about down for a moment, because this is complicated too. A lot of people in the room are wearing down jackets, and most of the down in your jackets in this room has come from geese that have been force-fed and live plucked. And live plucking is just that. You take the goose and yank the feathers out, and it's like torture. So when we learned about this, the mission, no unnecessary harm, in this case, no unnecessary harm to geese. So we had to trace the whole supply chain. That's the first thing we did. And it was like super complex, as you can see in this drawing. But the only way you can manage a supply chain is to know every single part of it. So we've actually done that with down. We know where every feather comes from. We know that all the down in our coats are made from geese that haven't been live plucked. Instead, they had their heads chopped off and they were made into meat for you guys to eat as well. So we just made a video about this because we think it's super important to recognize, the consequence of all your actions, like when you buy a down coat. That it's just like going out and eating a hamburger. You should know that a cow had to die for your burger, and one of our jackets anyway, a goose had to die for your down. You need to know that. And in fact, we just made a video that went up on the website a couple of days ago. You gotta check it out. It's called What the Pluck. One of the really cool programs we have isn't about sheep, but it's about bees, it's about sheep, and it's about the supply chain for our wool products. And here, it involves the estancias that raise the sheep down in Argentina, where for generations the ranchers have been overgrazing the grasslands, as you can see in this photo, where on one side of the fence is typical sheep grazing practices, but on the other side is a program that we've got in place partnering with ranchers down there, where we pay those guys a premium to use rotational grazing practices that actually restores the grasslands, prevents erosion, allows cohabitation with wildlife, so that when you go to one of our stores or on the website and buy a sweater made from our wool, you really know that you're also buying into landscape restoration. So on that subject of grass, you'll find out what I'm talking about in a minute. Another cool program involves our new wetsuits, and these are made from a neoprene that, unlike all traditional neoprenes, is not petroleum-based, but rather it's made from the latex of the guayuli plant that grows mostly in the American Southwest and also uses very little water. But I think the most innovative thing about this program is maybe not that we've got wetsuits that don't use oil, but that we've taken the IT, the intellectual property, for this whole process that we own, and we made it open source. Like we've given it away. And we've done that, kind of like Musk did with Tesla and their patents. The same idea to give away the technology so that it scales, and so that the benefits from it scale as well, even though the traditional business model thing, you're giving away your own business value. But if you think about it in terms of planetary impacts and what really supports all business in the first place, you're supporting your own business as well. So, I told you that there was a segue on grass, and that's because we ran this ad at Rolling Stone a few weeks ago. And it's worked pretty well. We got a lot of attention. We know how to use talking headlines, and I'll get to that tactic a little bit more in just a minute. So that's a little preview of this part of our mission statement, to make our products with no unnecessary harm. So now let's take a look at the part about using the business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. And we do this in a number of ways. And one of them is to try and influence civil society with what our values are, what we think is important. And we do this in a number of ways. And one of them is this program that we started called 1% for the Planet. And here, and this is also in my department that I manage, we take 1% of our sales and we donate it back to environmental NGOs. And that doesn't sound like much, but remember, I just said 1% of sales. I didn't say 10% of profits. So good year, bad year, rain or shine, no matter whether we make a profit or not, we have to pay what we call our earth tax. 1% right off the top. Last year, that was $6.5 million that went out to 750 environmental NGOs around the world. And almost all of them were small grassroots organizations with a lot of volunteers like these guys trying to save the Colorado River and the tributaries from pulling too much water out of the river from all the dams that were built on it. And I mean, how can you not support these guys? So, trying to save rivers was also the origin of our support for activists and activism in the first place. And I'll let Yvonne explain that in the next film clip.
In the 70s, the city wanted to channelize the Ventura River, and there was a city council meeting, so we decided to all go because we were concerned that it was going to hurt the sand flow. So we showed up, and there were all these scientists there saying, it's not going to hurt the river because it's a dead river, so just forget about it. And at the end of the talk, a young grad student got up and showed a slideshow of all life along the river, all the eels and the birds that nest along the river, and the raccoons. Still 50 still had to go up that polluted river, and it wasn't dead at all. And that brought the house down, and it showed me what one individual can do, the power of one individual. That led to us starting a Friends of the Ventura River, and now we're working on trying to take out a dam upstream that is preventing the steelhead from going up into one of the tributaries. I really like the the idea of taking out no longer useful dams. When you take out a dam, that's a real victory. In a concrete victory, so to speak. It's gone. And that allows fish to migrate up. It stops the water from heating up. People built those dams, and people have the responsibility to take them down. I think all of us are responsible for doing something. I mean, if you're a good speaker, you should get out and speak about the injustices of the world. If you're a good writer, write about it. You have nothing but free time, you should volunteer for good causes. To do good, you actually have to do something.
So we started a campaign, and we made a film called Damnation, which supports the removal for old and useless dams. You guys can get it on Netflix right now. And we also are opposing the construction of new dams when there are alternatives. Alternative energy sources, which in most cases there actually are these days. One of our campaigns was opposing a dam on this Baca River down in southern Chile, again in our namesake place of Patagonia. And we were so stoked when 3 months ago, President Michelle Bachelet of Chile pulled the plug on the entire project. And in part because of the efforts that we had made. So, it might seem kind of odd for an apparel company to be focused on dam removal, but I guess that's what happens when you got a privately held company that's owned by a fly fisherman who has a different definition of who he thinks the shareholders of the company are. So now back to that mission statement. To, again, use our business to inspire and implement solutions to this environmental crisis. And let's take a look for a second at another way we do that, which is by trying to influence other businesses. And one example of that was this initiative that was mentioned at the beginning, the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, because that actually started with a partnership between Walmart and Patagonia, as bizarre as that sounds, but we invited them to, in turn, invite a select group of companies into a coalition with the goal of developing a tool to measure sustainability that, if we were successful, the dream was that it become standardized across the entire sector. So we had the idea, and then we met with a few high-level executives at Walmart and told them about it, and they actually said, well, okay, maybe we should look into this. And I go, really? Yeah, I was so stoked. I said, let's code name it David and Goliath. And they said, well, okay. And then they paused and they came back and said, actually got a little bit of a problem. And I thought, oh, shit, here it goes. Before it even gets off the ground, things heading south. And they said, the problem is that we want to be David and we want you to be Goliath. So I said, okay, whatever. And we lost this thing by sending out this letter to the CEOs of a dozen other companies, inviting them to attend a meeting, and here I'll quote from the letter. We expect to achieve consensus on the need for a universally accepted approach for measuring apparel sector sustainability and to establish a strategy for ongoing collaboration to create and implement a standard. And one executive, a CEO, actually, one of these big companies, when I was talking to him later after he, like everybody else, had said yes, he said, when you get a letter in the mail with Patagonia and Walmart side by side, it is so bizarre, you just can't throw it away. So the strategy worked. We called ourselves the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, and in just 4 years, we both represent about 160 companies with equal representation of suppliers and brands and retailers, NGOs, universities, and government agencies. We've created a set of tools that we've called the HAPE suite of tools to measure and manage sustainability impacts. And to give you just a little sense of what this is about, I thought I would show another video to you, a video that we just completed last month. Now, this is intended to explain to factory owners all over the world, especially in Asia, what the Hague is about to encourage them to implement it. So keep that in mind. It's not for you guys, but you'll get the point of what we're up to from this video that was made for them.
Fair labor and environmentally responsible practices are now standard expectations of modern factory, right up there with quality, price, and delivery. Brands expect it of themselves and their supply chain, and consumers and stakeholders expect it of brands and retailers. Traditionally, audits have been the standard way of enforcing these expectations, but we've learned that simply catching sustainability violations doesn't bring change. We see these same violations repeating year after year. To make progress, factories need to manage their own sustainability performance. They need to know how to spot issues, put procedures in place to manage them, and then share their progress with their customers. Now we've created a tool to help. We're the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. We're made up of brands, retailers, manufacturers, and organizations who have spent decades managing social and environmental performance. We've identified all the key indicators for both factories and their customers and organized them into a simple self-assessment questionnaire. We call it the Hague Index suite of tools. By completing the Hague Index, you'll learn where to focus your efforts in managing social and environmental performance. And at the click of a button, you'll be able to share your results with any of your customers. The Hague Index is now the standard reporting tool, already used by over a third of the apparel, footwear, and home textiles industry, and it's eliminating the need for duplicative self-assessments.
So that's where we're at with the Sustainable Apparel Coalition right now. And I think, and actually, we're now at about 40% of the entire market share for apparel and footwear and home textiles on planet Earth. We've done that in a little under 4 years. In another year, I'm pretty confident we'll be 50%. So what this means is that no matter where you go in the world, no matter what city you're in, no matter what street you're walking down, every other human being you run into, there or anywhere in the world, is wearing clothing like something is food. Who have standardized and lying around the way to measure the impact. And now they're all getting together to collectively manage over time, every year, measure the reduction of those impacts. So it's kind of significant. And maybe the most significant thing is the speed with which people will align. And it really is, I think, a proxy for this gravitational shift in sustainability we're seeing going on right now. And that's perhaps confirmed by conversations that are spontaneously starting to happen in other sectors. I've got everybody you see there coming to me asking, how they can replicate what we've done. And we've got big companies like Target and Walmart working together, big competitors, to bring in the brands to figure out just how to do that. Those things are underway right as we speak. I had 4 or 5 emails on it this morning. And it's a whole lot of other sectors, a lot more than just what you see on the board there that are beginning to have these conversations. So that's where we're at. And I think we're actually getting really close where we can convert this whole thing over into a consumer-facing rating that will allow people to, while they're shopping, make their purchasing decisions guided by sustainability information. Kind of like it's already started a little bit with Good Guy, who's on our board, and I project this probably going to merge with what we're doing in the not too distant future. We're also starting to influence government. We're kind of deep into the EU. We've got really potentially interesting conversations going on with the China government. Nothing here in the U.S., but big surprise there. And you know what? We don't need this country. They can go ahead and let themselves fall behind. But all of this is coming none too soon. And you guys, you're the smartest, the smart out there. I know that you know that You can't run a business long-term, any business, on a planet when business is using 1.5 times the resources to sustain business that the world can give back. And if you live here in this country, it's not 1.5, but it's 7 planets that we use up every year, and that's why we're committed to causing no unnecessary harm. Now, we also realize that the overall footprint of our products are not only from how we make them, but also how our customers use and care for them. So we created this partnership with our customers called Common Thread, and now we're rebranding it into Bornware. And it's built around these R's of repair, reuse, and recycle. And with each R, we've listed what we think our responsibilities are, and then under there what we think your responsibilities are. And the one that's actually most controversial is reduce, because there are responsibilities pretty obvious. We make stuff that lasts as long as possible, that you can use for as many things as possible, that you can fix when it's broken. But on your side, we really thought this through and realized the most important thing we could ask you guys to do is to don't buy it if you don't need it, if you're really going to reduce your footprint. So 2 years ago in the New York Times, as some of you may have seen, we ran this ad with another one of these bold headlines that we're pretty good at. When I called up the New York Times and said, hey, we want a full pager on Black Friday right in front of Macy's, they went, wow, we got a new customer. When the ad showed up, they just shit in their pants. They had never seen anything like this. And my favorite response was from advertising agents who said, the coolest use of reverse psychology in the history of advertising. But you know what? We were dead serious. And what we were serious about was the text of the copy, where we explained that despite all these cool innovations that I just told you about, the organic cotton, the traceable down, the restorative wool, despite all the sustainability innovations that our companies are implementing, despite all these innovations that are going on around the world by all the giant multinationals, as laudable as they are, the KPIs that run our business, the KPIs that we argue should run all businesses, are tanking. And those are the health indicators of our planet. And you guys know what they are. They're the greenhouse gas emissions, the energy use, the deforestation of our planet, the desertification, the freshwater eutrophication, the ocean acidification, the extinction rate of 10,000 times the background. You guys know all of that, these things. And they're all tanking despite all these innovations. So ask yourself why. Because we do. We try to look at it deeply. We consult the macroeconomists on this. We look at what the benefits are going to be from all the sustainability innovations that are out there on the horizon. And I told you we try to, through our definition of transparency, combine good news with bad news. And we concluded that the real elephant in the room is annual compounded growth. That year after year, 3%, all the sustainability innovations of all the companies on the earth are being overridden by our own consumption. What are we going to do about that? We haven't the faintest idea. But we ran this ad so that we could inspire people to have a conversation about it. And we realized, since we started this conversation, that since nobody has really figured this out, that it's over to you guys to figure it out. And that's the thought that I wanted to really leave with you today. And it's not by any means a negative and a bad news thought, but I still see it as a glass half full idea that you guys can figure out what business, what capitalism is going to look like on a planet with constrained resources, on a planet where we will have to reduce consumption. And I'm positive that at the end of the day, you'll figure out how we redefine our lives around those new constraints and those new parameters, which I'm confident we can all use to improve our lives and make ourselves even happier in the process. So it's over to you. Don't depend on us because us old people, because we're depending on you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. And it is speak for all of us, and I say that we were so blown away by that. And I wish you would have stopped because we're also here at the end of the summit. And I know we're all really sad, but what better way to end than to celebrate some of the young entrepreneurs that we actually have here with us today. So before we turn it over to the Resolution Project, which is one of our most amazing partners for the summit, is going to honor some of their own fellows, we didn't want to miss the opportunity to reward the Village to Raise a Child winners that were taking their SATs this morning. So may I call on the Without Borders team from Sri Lanka and Georgia Sampaio from Brazil. You guys noticed too, the Sri Lankan team is wearing beautiful dresses from their homeland. If someone wants to explain just a little bit about what you're doing, that would be great.
I'm Howard, and it's an amazing chance to actually be here all the way from Sri Lanka. Could I have a show of hands if anyone who knows has heard about Sri Lanka or is to Sri Lanka? Oh, I feel so good. And so what is Without Borders all about? What we do is we identify communities. We look at the resources they have. We see what are they capable of what the people are talented about, what are the resources available in this place. And then what we do is we look at the problems in this area. How is the sanitation like, the education like, what are the problems the people in this community are facing. And what we do is we help them utilize and use these resources in the best way possible to solve problems that they face in their everyday lives. So basically, we develop sustainable, community-driven development models for these communities. And at the end of, let's say, 5 or 10 years, what we do is give these models back to the community to run. So we do not create any form of dependence. So on our pilot project, we started with just 50 volunteers with absolutely no cash. I had about like $4 in my purse the day we started off. And after 15 weeks, we have about 30 plus volunteers. We have about 14,500 rupees at startup capital. We are teaching English using theater and cinematography to over 200 plus children from 5 different communities. We're providing employment, running for women currently to about a group of 20 to start up their own businesses. We provide them the startup capital and the resources to create their own businesses. So this is what Without Borders Sri Lanka is all about. Thank you.
Good afternoon, you all. Well, basically what I have been doing for over 3 years is developing and cheap and invasive diagnostic method for endometriosis. Endometriosis is a problem itself. Just to make it clear, diagnosis for endometriosis in Brazil can go to $2,000 to $6,000. So for those that cannot afford, it's extremely costly. The problem gets even worse. And that's why I developed a diagnostic method based on Bruce tests that would be available and invasive and would solve the problem. Thank you so much.
And a surprise is that one of the judges that actually graded your guys' applications is here to present you with your awards. So may I call on Eric Ordnance from the Acumen Fund to help me hand out the awards to the Village to Raise a Child for virtual cases. Thank you. And now may I call on the resolution project to announce the winners of the social venture challenge.